Des Moines and all of Central Iowa, welcome to Mac's World Live. Mac's World is your world. Every day we talk about the issues and topics that matter most to you. And as always, it's your voice we want to hear in Mac's World. So join the conversation by calling 515-244-0077. And now, here's the host of Mac's World Live, J. Michael McCoy.
7 minutes after 4 o'clock, 4:07, 13th day of April in the Lord's year 2016. I'm J. Michael McCoy, live here on a Wednesday afternoon with Mac's World. You know, I told you, Bob, that we had our men's Bible study this morning at Hope, and I had two guys who listened to the radio show who heard me invite some people. Anybody can come to the men's Bible study at Hope. We have breakfast at 6:15 in the morning till 6:45. You don't have to be there for that. Please be there by 6:59. So 7 a.m. We do it for 60 minutes, and then we're done, and you can go, or you're welcome to sit around with us. We started the book of Acts. When did we start that, Bob? In March? I think we started that in mid-March, and we're into the second chapter now. I mean, we go slow and deep. But we had big conversations about the Holy Spirit this morning that was really good. And so you're always welcome to come. And Chris asked a question, what would happen if a woman showed up? I
asked that.
Oh, you did? You're the troublemaker.
Yeah, because you said it was men only.
Well, it is men only. This isn't a bathroom. Yeah, there are actually gender specific that you're supposed to be there.
Yeah, but anytime you say things like that, people are going to test it. You know what I'm saying?
Well, fine. Come on.
I'm just saying.
That's okay. Come on in.
You know how people are.
I know how people are. All right, Kristen is my guest. We're going to get to her in just a minute. But the other thing, I know how people are. I know how some people, when they're friends and you get into a working relationship, it doesn't work right. Have you experienced this? If you haven't, good for you. Most of the time when there's a realtor in your small group and you and your husband or your wife or your kids or your whoever are thinking about buying a different house, and they peak right up because that's the job they do. I mean, they've got to find their own business or got to find their own clients. And so they say, oh, I'm a realtor I'm a realty. I'll help you find a house. And inside you go, no, I really just want a working relationship. I don't want a friendship. And then on the side over here, we're going to look for a house. Because I don't know if you've heard lately, you will probably you will never make a bigger purchase than the purchase of your home. Never. And you really need someone you hire that you can hold accountable. Not someone who says, well, I'm your friend. I thought this would be okay. So do what I did, because I've got lots of friends in real estate. I went outside of my friendship circle. I even went outside of my church. And I hired Seth Walker. Seth Walker is with Remax Real Estate Concepts. That's Rob Spearman's company. Rob's one of my favorite people in the world. I went to Rob and I said, who's your best? He said Seth. Well, actually, he said his wife. And I said, well, I don't want to hire your wife. Seth was the next. So I recommend Seth to people. I use Seth when I buy and sell real estate. So I want you to consider him too. Now, it's easy. The number's 515-577-3728. You're driving by a house. You want to know how much it is. You want to know what the property taxes are. You want to know how many bedrooms. You want to know. Text Seth at 515-577-3728. He's the real estate professional you want on your team. All right, my guest is Kristen. By the way, I know who their last name is. I just don't see any reason to put it on the radio. If you have a dying need to know it, you can call me personally, and I'll run you through my, anyway, Kristen. Born and raised here in Des Moines. Okay, graduated from Johnston High in 2005. Had an experience when she was 11 years old, sitting after a youth group, And all of a sudden, she was just closing her eyes, and all these faces from all different nationalities, diversity from all over the world came into her eyes. And it was so real, she felt like she could reach out and touch them. And then God said, "What to you?"
Well, I felt his tangible love, and he said, "These are my children that I love so much, but they don't know who I am. Will you go tell them who I am?"
And that called you to be a missionary.
Yep.
So when you graduated from Johnston High, you went and tried a Bible college for a while?
Yeah, I went for about 3 semesters.
And that wasn't your thing?
Well, I always enjoyed school, but towards the end of my 3rd semester, I felt like God said, don't go to Bible college and get so in debt that you can't go and do missions.
Okay.
He said, I'll teach you in the nations, so just go and trust me.
All right, so how did you find YWAM?
Well,
that, by the way, is Youth with a Mission.
That's right. Yeah, I had recently broken up with a relationship of mine, and so I was kind of at a crossroads in my life, wasn't sure what to do, and my brother had done something with YWAM previously, and so he mentioned the Hawaii campus to me because they had a training program for missions and photography, which I was interested in photography at the time, and so I thought, well, what do I have to lose?
Now, what it says Youth with a Mission. How long can you work for Youth with a Mission?
It's also called Youthful with a Mission, so it's for any age group.
It's not like JC's all of a sudden you age out of it or something like that.
We have little kids all the way up to 80s and 90s.
Oh, folks like me. Old folks. Yeah, okay. Robert?
Yeah, I was wondering, do they have a interview session where you have to go through and prove that you're the one they want for?
No, it's a lot. You just, how many people want a job? Okay, you, come on forward, Blondie. What are you asking that? Of course, there's an extensive interview question.
Is it?
Well, it's a volunteer organization, so nobody gets paid to be part of that. But you apply to do school, and so you fill out an application process just like you would apply for college or something like that. But we accept almost everybody.
Well, maybe I was wrong, because what I was assuming there was some type of theological litmus test.
No, well, YWAM is intercultural and interdenominational, and so we get just a hodgepodge of people that come, and our main focus is that we love Jesus and we want to see the gospel spread all over the earth. But we have Catholics and Mennonites and Pentecostals and
oh no,
yeah, everybody.
Lions, tigers, and bears. Oh my! All right, so Bob, I apologize. You were correct.
Accepted.
Because you're a missionary.
Well, short-term mission.
Short term. Bob has a cool story. Tell the story about the young man that visited us.
Oh, well, when I come here to the radio show, I never really know who's coming. I didn't know you guys were coming. And it's just a surprise to me every time.
I keep them on their toes.
He keeps me on my toes. Anyway, I came in one time, and there was a person sitting right here, normally where I sit. So I sat next to him, and I said hello to him, and I could tell when he said hello, he had an accent. And it sounded like a Russian accent to me. And so I said, "Where are you from?" And he said he was from Russia. And so I said, "Whereabouts in Russia?" And he said, "Well, Siberia." And then I told him, I said, "Well, I was in Siberia." And he goes, "Really, you were?" And I said, "Yeah." He says, "When were you there?" And I said, "Well, 1992. And he goes, "1992? I said, "Yeah." And it was in Krasnoyarsk, Russia. And he goes, "I'm from Krasnoyarsk, Russia." He says, "Why were you there?" I said, "Well, we were handing out the Book of Life and to college students and high school students and so forth." And he goes, "I was there." He says, "That was me.
Wow.
I was there." And he says, "That's when I found the Lord." And now he's a missionary to Krasnoyarsk, to his own country.
Isn't that cool?
That's so cool. I love that.
To have God gift Bob with that knowledge that what he had done there had made such a difference that back home in his studio, in his hometown.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
That's so cool.
Yeah, that is cool. All right, so you decided to join YWAM. At first, you're not a leader, you're not an instructor, you're a student. And what do students do? Well,
when you join YWAM, for anyone, there's YWAM locations all over the world. They have a program called DTS, Discipleship Training School. So it's a 5 to 6 month program. So you go to your base location, and there's 3 months of training. of what is, who is God, what is missions, biblical worldview, how do you hear God's voice, who is the Holy Spirit, all of these things for 3 months training. And then you go out and you do practical application, a missions trip, so to speak. We call it outreach. And that lasts anywhere from 2 to 3 months.
And would that be in the town you're training in, or would that be somewhere else?
No, you go international, somewhere international.
Okay, where did you go?
My DTS, I went to Panama and South Africa.
Wow. Okay, go ahead.
Yeah.
You must like to travel.
I love traveling.
Okay,
it's
all right.
amazing.
So you graduate from training?
Yeah, so you graduate and then you're a bona fide YWAMer.
Yeah. Were there people who didn't graduate?
Sometimes there are. Sometimes people drop out because they don't appreciate the living conditions, or they break the rules of doing drugs, while they're there, something like that. Or, some people leave by choice. Some people are asked to leave because they're not abiding by whatever guidelines are set in the beginning. But yeah, if you go and you cooperate, then you graduate.
Are the guidelines unreasonable?
Oh, no, not at all.
No, so they're just goofy people.
It's just like Christian colleges. Same thing.
All right.
Yeah. My Christian college, I couldn't dance, and I could dance at YWAM. So, there's even some leniency in that.
Did you go to Lutheran Brotherhood? No. Lutheran Brethren?
I went to Plymouth Brethren.
Yeah.
College,
Plymouth Brethren. Yeah. My
Uh-huh.
wife went to Plymouth and Lutheran are about the same, the Brethren. Mm-hmm. And yeah, she didn't dance, didn't watch TV, didn't listen to the radio.
Yeah, got to cover your heads.
Yeah, mm-hmm. Absolutely. She went to Hillcrest.
Okay.
That's way, way north in Minnesota. Where did you go?
I went to Emmaus in Dubuque, Iowa.
In Dubuque, mm-hmm. All right. But you were okay with that?
Yeah, as a season, They didn't force us to wear the head covering or anything, but there were certain guidelines that I may or may not have followed the whole time.
You're a scofflaw.
I did go play bingo once, and that was kind of breaking the rules. Gambling,
Scandal. I know. Kristen plays
I've
bingo
repented.
with YWAMers. All right. So at some point, you are then given the opportunity to go out and talk to people in other places. We're going to talk about that when we come back. Where was the first place you went?
Panama.
That's right. You told me that. Where was the next place you went?
South Africa.
Okay, the third.
China.
All right. We're coming back. You got a question, you could ask her, 244-0077. It's your voice I want to hear live here in Mac's World. Yep, on The Truth, 99.3.
Credit cards are like grandkids. They love you, sometimes get out of control, and it's fun to get a new one. Who can stop them from piling on?
Hi, I'm Tom Coates with Consumer Credit of Des Moines. At the end of the day, you can return the grandkids, but you're stuck paying off bad credit card debt. We'll help you put the fun back into using credit cards responsibly. Right, kids?
Yeah! If you need help getting credit cards off your back, call Consumer Credit of Des Moines.
Hi. My name is David Burrier, your Hope Coach. I host a live weekly talk show called I've Been There every Thursday afternoon at 5:30, right here on webcast1live.com, and on my weekly radio program Saturday mornings at 10 on Truth Network 99.3 FM. I interview common everyday people who have survived incredible life challenges and who testify to God's faithfulness in the midst of their storms. So join me as we bring a message of hope and encouragement. Everybody needs hope. I know, because I've been there.
Hey everybody, I brought Northern Lights Pizza, and it's got Graziano sausage.
Rockton Prevention is celebrating 25 years of creating a caring community. We want to say thank you to the tens of thousands of Rock High School mentors that have carried our message of health, love, and encouragement to over 1.5 million children, teachers, and parents. Our mentors teach children methods and skills to prevent bullying and drug use. Thank you to all the school administrators, teachers, and counselors for their opportunity to serve you. Rock on, fair citizens. Rock on. This is Pat McManus for Rockton Prevention, the Richard O. Jacobson Foundation, and this station.
From the RE/MAX Real Estate Concept Studios, this is Webcast 1 Live.
Minutes after the hour, 4:21, 13th day of April in the Lord's year 2016. I'm J. Michael McCoy. Glad to have you along on this Wednesday afternoon. Tomorrow, he's scheduled. And one of the reasons I don't, if you notice, I usually don't tell you who's going to be on the next day. Because every week, I'll guarantee you, Bob, there isn't a week that goes by that somebody doesn't cancel or not show up.
That's true.
So tomorrow, Thursday, Luke Tim, I know he's very unreliable, but Pastor Luke Tim is coming in, and see, he's Missouri Senate. And they look at women in ministry a little different than like the ELCA does or some of those. And so Luke's going to come in and we're going to talk about, and really it's 1 Timothy 2 and 3, because it's really in those chapters that Paul kind of lays out in the letter to Timothy how the young church is supposed to be set up. And Luke and I don't agree. I don't think gender has a darn thing to do with whether you're supposed to serve or not. As far as I'm concerned, you could be, well, I'm not Catholic, so you couldn't be Pope. But I don't have any problem I don't care if it's a woman or a man. But there's some denominations that feel differently, and they feel they're right biblically. And so Luke's going to come in, and we're going to talk about that tomorrow. Obviously, I have you here, so I don't have a problem with gender.
I also don't have a problem with it.
Good. Because if you did, I'd really. So you don't think men should be in ministry? Is that it?
I think we're all
just
okay.
Be women.
Yeah. I think
we're all okay. You know what? I don't even think. Well, I don't know. It doesn't matter what I think. I think. Yeah, I'll tell you anyway. I think it's the accuser that makes a big deal out of gender. Mm-hmm. I think God created us the way he was, and only through his sovereignty did he know the accuser would turn that unbelievably gift of creation against us to say one gender's better than the other, or this gender can do this and this gender can't do that. Same with skin color. Crazy what man comes up with for reasons to be a bigot or a racist or whatever. It's just amazes me. All right, so Kristen is here. She's with YWAM, which I have a challenge saying. It's called Youth with a Mission, YWAM. And if you really want to make me go crazy, you guys are called what?
YWAMers.
Oh, Jiminy. Do you have a dance?
No dance.
No dance.
Oh, gosh.
Do you have a special handshake?
Nothing like that.
Logo or anything?
We do have a logo.
You do have a logo.
And a website.
And what's the website?
YWAM.org, I think.
So it's not youthwithamission.org?
Mm-hmm. No, YWAM.org.
YWAM. Mm-hmm. Who started YWAM?
Lauren Cunningham.
How many years ago?
Over 50. 54, maybe?
1960.
Wow, you're so smart.
He's got the Google. He's got the Google. See, it was Bob and what was his name that invented the internet?
Al Gore.
Al Gore. It was Bob and Al Gore back then. They made the internet. All right. So you graduate from Johnson High in 2005. In 2009, you join YWAM, and then you immediately go to Panama and then South America.
South Africa.
Yeah. So where would you go? I know you've named towns, but give me a visual. Paint the picture for me.
Well, yeah. So in Panama, we stayed in Gamboa, which was just outside Panama City. So we stayed in a church while we were there. It's kind of a ghost town because it's where the Americans occupied when they were building the Panama Canal. So the Panama Canal was literally 20 feet in front of where we were staying. Wow. So at night we would see these huge ships going past. And so we worked with orphans while we were there. At the time, Panama had a big problem with orphans because there was no international adoption was not allowed. And so we worked with some missionaries there to publish a book painting orphans in a kind of coming against the cultural barriers of adoption and those types of things to try to show like, hey, these are just kids that need love. And so don't put a stigma against them. Don't reject them.
Okay. Help me understand, why were there so many orphans? Were there no abortions?
I can't remember. It was in 2009, so I can't remember what Panama's laws were on abortion, but basically because there's a stigma against orphans. So to adopt another child that's not from your family, that's looked down upon.
Really?
It's not a positive thing at all. And
Where in America we do that.
Right. You think someone was a good saint for adoption or something, but there it's very much frowned upon. And so these kids would just raise up in the orphanage. They'd phase out of the orphanage when they're 18. They'd go onto the streets because they don't have a job. They don't have any reputable skills. They would go into prostitution or whatever, get pregnant, have babies. The babies would go into the orphanage, and it was just this cyclical pattern where the nation was being raised up as orphans, basically.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what did you do with the orphans?
Yeah. So my team, we stayed at a bunch of different orphanages and documented these kids, and we put together a book called Dear Panama. And I don't think it's for sale anywhere, maybe in YWAM world somewhere, but basically bringing to light that these are just kids and they just want a family and a home and they just want to be loved, and there's nothing wrong with them. And so the missionaries we were working with that were based in Panama took that publication along.
Missionaries with YWAM?
They were connected with YWAM, but I think they're through a different organization.
Okay.
So they're working with changing the laws to allow international adoptions, because at the time, I believe there were only even 4 foster families in the whole nation of Panama. So even foster care was very, very rare. So they've done a lot of work there. I believe foster care and adoption, they've changed some of the laws there because of the missionaries that we were working with, their work. So yeah, that was kind of our first stint for 2 months.
All right. So very good overview. Now I want to go a little deeper.
Okay.
So you'd live in an old bunkhouse where basically the Americans lived while building the Panama Canal.
Well, we were all stuffed into a church room, a Sunday school room.
Okay.
So there were about 13 of us.
And where are the orphans?
They were all around Panama. So we would travel and spend, a couple hours and spend, a week or so at the orphanage, or we took a few day trips. So we tried to get a big picture of different orphanages around that Panama City area.
If I'm 6, and by the way, I'm going to go 6, 12, and 18.
Okay.
If I'm 6, how does Kristen explain Jesus to me? I'm a Panamanian orphan. Is there a language barrier?
Yeah, they speak Spanish.
Okay, but you speak Spanish?
No.
No?
We worked with translators.
Translators.
Yeah.
Okay, that's much easier.
Yeah.
How do you explain to little Macarena here, who's 6 years old, about who Jesus is? Because I'm assuming he has no concept.
Yeah, so it's just about sharing the love of Jesus everywhere we go. It doesn't matter if you're 6 or if you're 92. I think the message of the cross and the message of Jesus is that he loves you, and people need to know that they are accepted and that they're embraced before they want to hear a message of, make a decision or you're going to burn in hell.
Right.
Like, that's the point.
I
Yeah.
didn't think that. But do you have pictures of Jesus? Do you have a kind of the YWAM Jesus? Well, the Lutherans have. But, every denomination has a picture of Jesus. Lutheran is that white guy, and it's from the side. You see the right side of Jesus. He has blue eyes, long dark hair, and he's looking into the sky. That's the Lutheran Jesus, right?
Yeah.
So do you have a picture to show them who Jesus is, or is it all theater of the mind?
Yeah, we would just talk to them and share with them. Our main goal on that trip was working with the missionaries to change the adoption laws. And so that was our express purpose. So we took a lot of photographs and just to be able to help and aid the missionaries that were working on the ground there.
Kristen is my guest. She is with Youth with a Mission, YWAM. She's proud to call herself a YWAMmer. I don't know. She is home for a while, Johnston, Iowa, and you're heading out to your next mission field in the Middle East. But were you, not you, but was your group successful in changing adoption laws in Panama? Is that heading in the right direction down there?
Yeah. So after we went, there was a group that came after us because YWAM sends out kind of short-term. There's a lot of long-term people working in YWAM, but we also do short-term trips for, 2 months at a time. So there was a group that came after ours that saw our book, and they made a documentary called Dear Panama.
Oh, cool.
And so that they made showing kind of the plight of the children there, going into a little bit more depth. And all of that helped these missionaries that were on the ground to work with the government and to change the public opinion of what it looks like to do foster care and adoption in Panama.
What don't I know about Panama that you want me to know?
It's a beautiful country full of just super generous people. Oh my gosh, like these kids are the cutest, most amazing, life-filled kids I've ever met. And it's an amazing place.
I have this vision of Latino children with pants only running up and down a mud or dirt street and living in huts.
Well, they live in houses, but the dirt road is good. And yeah, they're just big smiles, bright eyes, very adventurous, full of life.
Think of one of them.
Okay.
One of your favorites, and tell me about that child.
Man, you're making me think. This was in 2009.
Okay.
I've been a lot of places since then.
Well, that's okay. If you can't remember one. Well, I'll ask you that about someplace else you've been. So then you go to South Africa.
Yeah.
Now, when I think of South Africa, I think of a little more political. Did you have to deal with that, or was it basically you were just working with YWAM and YWAMers with orphan children?
Yeah, so when we went to South Africa, I wasn't in there quite as long. I was only there for maybe about 3 weeks because we went there to debrief, and there was a conference we went to there. But while we were there, it is very obvious the racial divide and the tension that's still a residual in that nation because of apartheid and the things that happened there.
Yeah.
So we did go into some of the townships and met with the people there and did some ministry and played with the kids and that sort of thing. So yeah, it was a very different type of environment than Panama for sure.
All right. And then your next trip was to China.
Yeah.
And there you're a missionary again.
Well, actually, China, I misspoke. China was a different trip where somebody was adopting a baby, and she needed someone to travel with her because her husband couldn't take the trip with her. So she took me along with her to witness this adoption.
So America to China and back to America.
Yeah.
Okay. And witness, like legally witness?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Now, somebody said earlier that you're not paid anything.
I'm sure I'm not.
Everybody is not paid anything.
Yeah.
But do they take care of all your expenses?
No, I actually have to pay to be on staff with them. Just like $25 a month, but yeah, to take care of the facilities and that sort of thing. So, but everyone with YWAM is a full-time volunteer.
Wow. I'm just trying to get my head around that.
Yeah, but there has to be some support. Are people supporting you, or? I
do have some monthly supporters and one-time supporters, so I'm always looking for more and appreciate that. I have a privilege in Kona because every quarter there's about anywhere from 40 to 60 nations that come to Kona for missionary training. And so part of my job is to help train them and raise them up and send them out. And so there's a multiplication effect with what I do. It's cool because we get to see the nations come to us and then go out to the nations and serve the nations.
All right. Now, what about your plane tickets? That's taken care of by YWAM?
No, I pay for those too.
Even when you go someplace to be a mission?
Yeah.
And when you fly home?
Yeah.
Okay. I won't. God bless you. I guess I'm just too Western. I think somewhere along the line there ought to be some type of compensation or repayment or something, but you take money out of your pocket to do this mission.
Yeah.
Okay. Good for you. And so if people want to support you, how can they do that?
Well, they can contact me somehow on Facebook or email me or something like that. I don't know.
If you're listening and you want to get a hold of Kristen, because I'm not going to put your last name out there, and you want to get a hold of her and support her, just get a hold of me, and I'll immediately get you the information. You can put it on the Service Legends Truth Text Talk line at 809-0993. You can call me and give the information to Jeb. Just give some contact information to Jeb, phone number, email, whatever, and we'll get a hold of you. That's 515-244-0077. Or you can jump on my Facebook. You can call me on my cell phone, however you want to get a hold of me. All right, the journey continues with Kristen, a YWAMer, live on The Truth.
Northern Lights Pizza's amazing garlic butter makes amazing breadsticks. Now available in 12-ounce bottles at Northern Lights, Hy-Vee, and Graziano's.
Northern Lights Pizza. I'm Brian Leach, owner of Service Legends, and my position is Chief Talent Officer.
I'm Nicholas Wonderscheid.
I am Bernie Hobbs.
And I'm the Service Manager.
Marketing Director and Client Relations Manager.
Everything that we do is about ensuring that we exceed your expectations.
Our clients are important to us. 100% satisfaction.
We're not just focused on heating and cooling. That's the easiest part of our job, actually, is fixing furnaces and air conditioners.
Everyone that we come in touch with, we want to improve lives.
Bottom line is, we've got our installation guarantees, 25% energy savings guarantee, comfort guarantee, temperature selection guarantee, property protection guarantee.
100% satisfaction guaranteed. Fixed rate or it's free.
All of those guarantees are backed up with a 100% money back guarantee to hold ourselves accountable to making sure that you get what you're after.
Just fixing the problem today. If they have another problem 5 days down the road, it's still fixed rate or it's free.
We use what's called straightforward pricing. Our technicians are going to give you an exact to-the-penny price on what it's going to take before they move forward with any repair. That way you know what to expect.
It's the same price every day.
No surprises.
If you get off work at 5 o'clock in the afternoon, you come home, you realize that, oh, my furnace is broken. Now you need to call somebody out that night. You shouldn't have to pay more for that.
We're guaranteeing service 24/7.
We run afternoons, evenings, nights, weekends. We're staffed to work that.
Phone rings at 3 in the morning. You'll get one of our representatives answering the phone every time.
We're not sending you out to Timbuktu in some call center. It's our Service Legend team members, our mission control team.
I'll take a call anytime.
And then they answer the phones the same way during the day as they do at night.
It's a great day at your service company. How can we make you smile?
That's the only way to provide true 24-hour service.
When you're able to let somebody actually live in their home safely when they weren't able to do that before, where they don't have to stay up at night and worry about, is the heat going to come back on? Are we going to freeze the pipes? Is the baby in the room next door going to be sick because they got too cold? When you're able to help somebody overcome challenges like that, that's impacting a life. That makes a difference. I get goosebumps thinking about it.
I love the team. I love the people that I work with.
We have fun, but we work hard.
I call them my ambassadors of legendary service. If you could just envision what that is, that's who we're sending to your home.
They literally will call in, pick up the phone and call and say, hey, I want to talk to your manager. And I get on the phone, they're like, that technician that was at my house was the greatest technician ever. That's cool to me.
We want to brighten people's days.
Every person that we have going into the house has gone through an extensive background check.
Drug testing, we have a very thorough interview process that 1 out of 140 people make it through.
If we promise you something, that's what you're going to get, no matter what.
We're here when you need us to protect the safety and comfort of your family.
If you're not happy, we're going to make it right.
If we're willing to put 100% money back guarantee on what we do, what type of work do you think we do?
Give us a call. We're there for you 24/7, 365 days a year.
Enough said.
.438, 22 minutes before the top of the hour, Salem Radio Network News, and then Ask Hank. 181, wait, I got to say this the way Frank likes it said. 1-888 Ask Hank. That's the number you can call and get in on Hank's show. Great show. It's on from 5 to 6, and it's live worldwide. So if you get on hold now, you'll probably get in, maybe, and then you can ask Hank any question you want. My guest today is Kristen. She is with Youth with a Mission, which is known as YWAM, and she is based out of Kona, Iowa. Kona, Hawaii. And you're off now to the Middle East. And what will you do back there? Because you've kind of elevated yourself to like a teacher,
yeah,
or a shepherd.
I am a teacher. I'm leading a school right now. So that initial school I did in 2009, the DTS Discipleship Training School. I'm running one of those schools now with my friend in Kona.
In Kona.
So the training begins in Kona for 3 months, and then our students go out in teams all over the world for 2 months, and then they come back to Kona for 1 month to kind of wrap it up before they either continue on with YWAM or go home and continue in the calling that God has for them.
All right, so now I'm going to ask some questions if I have your permission, because I want to ask some personal questions. Okay. So you graduated from high school in 2005, so my guess is you're 28?
29.
29, all right. You are not married.
I am not.
You don't have any family other than your dad and your mom and your siblings. Mm-hmm. Do you want to have a family of your own?
Absolutely.
Okay. How does that work in YWAM, or do you have to leave YWAM?
No, there's so many families in YWAM. So even at our Kona base, one of our values as a mission is that we value the individual, but we also value families. And so at our missions base in Kona, we have preschools, kindergarten, middle school, high school, elementary school for our staff kids to go in. There's families all over the place, everywhere you look. So families that do mission together, and yeah.
All right. And the center of it is Christ.
Absolutely.
Do you ever get accused by heretics and pagans of being a cult?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I know what I would say, but what do you say when somebody says that?
I just, people can think what they want to think, but you look at the fruit. And so if you can look at the things that make a cult, and we don't really follow any of them. There's none of them. So
the center of your organization is not a flesh, is not a human, it's Jesus.
Absolutely.
That's the first thing that kind of just whacks out the whole cult thing.
Yeah.
But in a way, you are a family.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yes.
And you support each other.
Yes.
So have you found Mr. Wonderful yet?
I haven't. I'm still looking. I'm taking applications.
Good thing Frank's not here. You're taking applications. So, this is
Must
fun.
like to travel.
All right. So you'd like your soulmate, your life mate, to be in YWAM with you.
Well, yeah, do missions. It doesn't have to be YWAM. I don't know if I'm a YWAMer for life or not, but it's where God has called me for right now, and it's where I see myself in the future. So, but I have a heart for Asia, and so ultimately my goal is I'd like to help women in crisis pregnancy situations in Asia, and so that's kind of the thing I'm moving towards, and I don't know how that's going to look, but yeah, so he's got to kind of be down with that.
All right, Bob, step in front of don't get over too far. I'm going to use a term that you and I would have grown up with, and when we grew up with it, it was a compliment. So I'm going to say this to you, and it's a compliment. Your daughter's a tough old broad, isn't she?
She is, but I'm telling you, if you would have seen her in college and high school, she is like 180 degrees been transformed.
Yeah, because you said you were timid and you were introverted and quiet, bookworm or whatever.
Yeah,
probably straight A's. Yep.
Jesus has really transformed her into who she is today.
But doing all the things that she does, are you afraid for her?
Of course.
Okay. But I get the sense that if you went up against Christian, she'd just pop you on the block.
Well, I don't want to be responsible for telling her to do something that God does not. I don't want to be responsible to interfere with God's plan for her.
Right.
So I'm not going to stand and say, Kristen, you shouldn't be going those places when God has told her to go there.
Yeah.
Who am I to say, nah,
Yeah.
Because then, if she's in some place where God really doesn't want her to be, she's not going to be fulfilled. She's not going to be doing what she feels like God wants her to do.
Well, that's the voice of Bob, and that's Kristen's dad, and we're very glad that he came with her today. It's because of her that she's here. Have you been confronted with difficult, physical, violent situations where you've had to draw upon not only the Holy Spirit, but maybe your physical strength?
I feel like God has really protected me in all of the places that I've been. So I've been in some places that are not very happy to have Christians there doing what we were doing. And so there were some close calls, hiding from the police or different things like that. But overall, I've seen the grace of God over my life for protection and safety.
What would have happened if those police had found you?
Probably would have been thrown in jail is my guess. I don't know. I didn't think about it too far, but.
Okay. So do they train you in YWAM what to do in those cases in which you're confronted by naysayers?
No, you just rely on the Holy Spirit,
Okay.
Yeah.
You're like one of the disciples 2,000 years ago, right? In a way.
I try to be.
Right?
Yeah.
You've left your home. You've left your family. You've left everything behind. You rely, like Paul did, you rely on other people to make tents for you and then sell them and finance your mission.
Yeah.
You have full trust that God will provide.
Absolutely.
Even at the last possible moment.
Absolutely.
All right. I'm really glad that you're here today.
I'm glad to be here.
Yeah, this is a wonderful experience. Wouldn't you agree, Bob? This is we do a lot of yucky stuff. You know, you were sitting here for the first 40 minutes, and we have to talk about the news and talk about what's going on. And I don't do quote unquote good news or feel good news. I do news. That's what we do here in town. We do news. You remember, Bob, when I was on the other radio station, we dug up the stuff that nobody else wanted to talk about. So this is a real delight to have somebody like you here. So I asked you a little bit ago to pick out a student in Panama. So forget Panama, forget a place. Tell me about someone that God put in your life that was amazing.
Someone on the mission, or
I don't care.
Just anyone?
Yeah, just somebody who just is flooded with God's light and salt. And you don't have to name them.
Okay. I know so many people. How do I just choose one?
I don't know.
What's my next question? Can I think ahead?
We'll go to the next question. All right. So when a 14-year-old girl who's been raped, who's out for prostitution, who is on her own, who doesn't know if she'll be alive tomorrow, what do you tell her that Jesus will do for her?
That's a tough question.
Come on, 2 in a row?
No, it's a good question. No, I can answer. All right. Well, you know, when you meet somebody and they're in a hard place, you just have to meet them exactly where they are. And so you can't. It's real that life is tough and people encounter hard things. And it's true that Jesus can meet them in that situation and bring life and bring truth and bring healing and all of those things that they need. But they probably need physical help first before they need anything else. So, you know, you just make sure, like, hey, do you need any food? Do you need any help? And when you establish and you build relationship with people, then their hearts are open to hear, you know, the hope that you have to share with them, which is Jesus. And so it's just really, I think, what I've learned in my life and walking with Jesus is just every step of the way listening to the Holy Spirit and doing what he tells you to do. Because what's right for one person might not be right for another. Okay,
1 minute till a break. How does the Holy Spirit converse with you? You know, I always tell people that he nudges me. How do you feel his presence or her presence?
So many ways that Holy Spirit speaks to me. There's that still small voice inside, you know, through my thoughts or ideas that I just have. Sometimes I see pictures. Sometimes I dream dreams. There's so many ways that I connect with God and through the Word of God, of course, you know, he can speak through that too. But a lot of times it's just like we're having a conversation that I hear him speaking, not audibly, but inside. And
Yeah, you don't hear his voice.
Yeah. Well, I did once.
Did you really?
I did.
Okay, good. Nice tease. We do have 8 minutes when we come back. We're going to come back, and I want to hear how Kristen heard God's voice. That's coming up next live on The Truth. If you want to support Kristen, get a hold of me, and we'll let you do that. In fact, we'd love for you to do it.
From the RE/MAX Real Estate Concept Studios, this is Webcast 1 Live.
Credit cards are like grandkids. They love you, sometimes get out of control, and it's fun to get a new one. Who can stop them from piling on?
Hi, I'm Tom Coates with Consumer Credit of Des Moines. At the end of the day, you can return the grandkids, but you're stuck paying off bad credit card debt. We'll help you put the fun back into using credit cards responsibly. Right, kids?
Yeah! If you need help getting credit cards off your back, call Consumer Credit of Des Moines.
Rockton Prevention is celebrating 25 years of creating a caring community. We want to say thank you to the tens of thousands of Rock High School mentors that have carried our message of health, love, and encouragement to over 1.5 million children, teachers, and parents. Our mentors teach children methods and skills to prevent bullying and drug use. Thank you to all the school administrators, teachers, and counselors for the opportunity to serve you. Rock on, fair citizens. Rock on. This is Pat McManus for Rockton Prevention, the Richard O. Jacobson Foundation, and this station.
Northern Lights Pizza, your home of the tasty crust. Our garlic butter sauce now available in 12-ounce bottles at Northern Lights, Hy-Vee, and Graziano's.
Northern Lights Pizza. Hi, my name is David Burrier, your Hope Coach. I host a live weekly talk show called I've Been There every Thursday afternoon at 5:30, right here on webcast1live.com, and on my weekly radio program Saturday mornings at 10 on Truth Network 99.3 FM. I interview common everyday people who have survived incredible life challenges and who testify to God's faithfulness in the midst of their storms. So join me as we bring a message of hope and encouragement. Everybody needs hope. I know, because I've been there.
From the RE/MAX Real Estate Concept Studios, this is Webcast 1 Live.
10 minutes for the top of the hour, Salem Radio Network News, and then Hank, the Bible Answer Man, 1-888-ASK-HANK. Now, you just told me that you have a blog, and if people want to know that blog, they can come to me because it involves your last name. If you don't care about your last name being put out there, you can go ahead and spell it for people. But it's a different name. It's
a doozy.
It's a Dutch-French name.
Yeah.
All right, and it's Kristen with a K, Kristine.
There's no E, just I-N.
Oh, I-N, okay. Sorry. And then your last name is spelled B as in boy.
Mm-hmm. O-S.
O-S.
C-A-L.
C-A-L.
J-O-N.
J-O-N. Boscaljon.
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 Right. Yep.
Okay. So you heard God's voice. When and where? Tell me.
It was 2012.
Okay.
I was in Washington, D.C.
That's not a place God hangs around very often, I don't think.
Oh, he's everywhere.
Okay.
So I was at an event called David's Tent DC, and it was a YWAM group that they set up a big tent in the White House Ellipse, and they did 24/7 worship for 40 days leading up to the presidential election.
Wow.
And so I was volunteering at that event, and so we were staying in this place, like some bad neighborhood and bunk beds, and so I was going to bed one night and just heard this whisper in my ear that said ardent, and I was like, ardent.
A-R-D-E-N-T.
Yeah, and I was like, I don't know, I'm not smart. I'm smart, but I don't even know what that is, right?
Yeah.
So, but it just was so clear in my ear, like somebody was leaning over my ear and just whispering it in. So I took out my phone and I Googled ardent, and it just means furious and passionate and intense.
Oh,
and,
sure.
Yeah, ardent. Yeah. So.
All right.
And then God just spoke to me, not audibly that time, but inside, and just said, Kristen, that's my love for you. So,
wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Kind of random. If I was God, I probably wouldn't have said that to me audibly, but
he did.
But he did.
The whisper
because he
came
loves
in.
me. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow, that's cool. I've never heard a voice. I saw him once. I was in a very, very, very fearful. I feared for my life. And I didn't even know Jesus then. I'm a God guy for 50 years. Absolutely knew who God was. Born and raised Episcopalian. You asked me if I was Christian, I'd say, heck no, you people are freaky. I'm Episcopalian. If I had a relationship with Jesus, why would I need a relationship with the Son when I've got the Father, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But I was in a very difficult position, which I feared for my life. And I said, Jesus, protect me. And all of a sudden, transparently, he appeared before me. I couldn't see his face. He was in front of me. And I just felt, I got goosebumps. I just felt his presence there and freaked me out. I mean, to this day, it kind of freaked me out because I know it was there.
It was, yeah, of course.
I know it was real.
Yeah.
And I didn't even know him. And I called out his name.
Wow.
Yeah, so
that's awesome.
Pretty wild.
Love those stories.
Yeah. And do you get to hear a lot of those? I mean,
so many.
Yeah, because I would imagine the people that are YWAMers are all obviously born again. Is it okay if I call you a Jesus freak?
Sure.
Because I'm a Jesus freak.
Yeah, I love that.
Okay, so you're all Jesus freaks.
Yeah.
I mean, you're not just out there for want to get away from the parents for the summer.
Right.
Yeah.
It's not for the faint of heart.
No, I would imagine it's not.
Yeah.
Yeah. Tell me a sad story.
Oh, a sad story?
Yeah. Tell me about somebody who came out to be a YWAMer and for whatever reason it wasn't their calling and it broke your heart.
Yeah, well, part of what I'm doing is I run these schools, and so we have students that come from all over the world, and they get trained up, and they go out, and they come back, and so we have students that come, and some that come, they're not really all in it. They haven't given themselves 100%. So they think they're coming to Hawaii for a vacation or for fun or, just to hang out. And so their heart isn't in it. And it's devastating because the potential that an encounter with God can have to transform someone's life, to make them effective, not, as they go about their life, whether it's in missions or back home doing whatever they do. And people just, they don't apply themselves, they don't push in for more of Jesus. And I think that's so sad. And then they end up going home and then they get hurt and they say, well, God really isn't real, or he didn't show up the way that I wanted him to show up, or they put all these expectations on. And that breaks my heart because, man, like my life was so radically transformed through this mission and through my experiences that I've had walking in faith and believing God. And it just makes me sad when people don't live up to their potential in Christ.
Yeah. We have a group of guys at our church and we call ourselves radical rebels. Because Jesus was a rebel. I mean, they hung him on a cross because he was a rebel.
Yeah.
What I have found in my 5 years of being a Christian is Jesus is not who they told me who he was in Sunday school.
Yeah.
He is an amazing radical who turns everything upside down and says right is wrong and up is down and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And if you'll give your life truly, surrender your life to, say the words, Christian, surrender my life to Jesus and mean it, the rest of your life is unbelievable.
Yeah.
I could have never in a million years dreamed. And I can't imagine. See, I think it's cool sitting on the radio every day talking about Jesus. I can't imagine living it 24/7 like you do.
Yeah, when you were saying you have the best job in the world, I almost wanted to disagree and say that I think I hold that position.
Yeah, it sounds
I
like...
really enjoy my job.
Yeah, it sounds like, maybe you do. So what's next? How long? I mean, forever? As long as God wants you to?
Yeah, every time I go to God, I'm always open to what he wants to say, but really, like I mentioned earlier, my heart is to help women in crisis pregnancy situations in Asia. And so that I don't know what that looks like. I'm actually taking the next couple months to really pray about how in the next year I could take steps towards doing that. So yeah, I have a lot of vision and a lot of heart. I don't know what God's going to do, but I know that he's always faithful to direct me in the right place.
Are you on a sabbatical right now, or are you just home hanging out with mom and dad and your siblings?
No, I'm on a whirlwind tour. So I've been gone for I'm going to be gone for a month, for 30 days. So I went from Kona to LA. Stopped at an event called Azusa Now in LA. That was last Saturday. And then I'm here for a week to connect with supporters and try to, talk to people and see my family. Then I'm off to 3 different countries to visit my teams, check in, make sure that they're doing okay. And then I'm back to Kona where I'm teaching for a week, and it's just crazy. So it's not quite a sabbatical.
Yeah, no, it doesn't sound like a sabbatical at all. Well, God bless you. You are loved by a lot of people, and know by your mom and dad and your siblings. Thank you for the work that you do. And it is appreciated.
Yeah, thanks so much for having me on.
You bet. Now, this will be in a podcast form, both visually and auditorily, and that URL is yours. You don't have to pay anything to access it, so feel free to take this show and just put it all over the world.
Awesome.
And let people know, what you're doing. People who maybe have not stayed in touch with you, the old class reunion.
Right.
Let me see here. You had 10 years last year. Did you get to make it?
No, I was out of the country.
You're right. I wasn't available. I had to work that weekend. No, I was out of the country. All right. Thank you very much, Kristen. If you want more information on Kristen, just contact me and I'll give it to you. All right. Tomorrow, if he keeps his promise and shows up, Luke Tim will be here, and we're going to talk about a woman's role in the church. We're going to go to Timothy. We're going to go to Paul's letter to Timothy and talk about all those different things that he talked about. That's hopefully tomorrow, 3 to 5, here in Mac's World. All right. Until I see you again, you know what I'm about to tell you. Go home tonight. Think about that person you have not been able to forgive. You hold a resentment against them. It makes you mad. They live rent-free between your ears. Today, forgive them, because as you forgive, you shall be forgiven. See you in church.